they got us already. Got a strange suspicion. Calling it a crazy. I can't be sitting up this high, man. When she said stay for dinner, I should have known that I'd be staying for lunch. And I called time. Suddenly we're drunk in Vegas. And then I'm laying down in a parking lot saying, where did the girl go? She doesn't speak the language. She likes to smile a lot. When I stop to consider all the things that I have and haven't got, I said, fuck the car. That's how the West got on. This is one of our bigger tunes in Italy.
Big in Italy.
A lot of the film was shot. We are big in Italy.
Hey, how did the Hawk swing go?
That's it. Okay, whenever you want to start asking us questions, this is just for us. You send the tape over to Robin's office. Robert used to play piano for money in what was then called Cafe Society. He used to play at clubs on the West Side, and there's a club called Green Street that I'm not sure if it's still there or not. Big club. And he had a band called the Ivory Coast, and some friends of mine, some mutual friends of ours, took me down there one night. It's something that you're not supposed to do for you young kids out there. Don't do this. If your friend is on stage in front of about 5,000 people, even if you have a harmonica, don't take it out and start playing along with the band. But Robert was gracious enough to call me up on stage, and I sat in with him and Ross.
Right. Levinson. And I think we played it.
And then we became friends that night.
Yeah.
And we're still friends today.
Yeah.
So that was like, I think, 79, 70.
Yeah.
80, something like that.
About 100 years ago.
Yeah. And did you guys bond because you liked the same kind of music? And
same kind of girls.
And the same kind of bars.
Same kind of bars. Wilby's.
Oh, Wilby's. 88th and Broadway. They used to make an orange blossom up there where Mr. Wilby himself, one of the three Wilby brothers, I think this was Abe Wilby, Abe would personally squeeze the orange for you right in front of you to make the orange blossom. And then he had a magic thing he did with a boot and some homemade gin. And he put that together.
He still had the little sliding hole from the...
It was the boot that actually gave it the flavor. But Wilby's was good, Dublin House. So we spent time together in New York.
Doing research on bars, really.
Research.
We didn't do a whole lot of drinking in those days.
Bruce was actually working in one of them, and was generous enough occasionally to, and I hope the bar owners 25 years later don't mind learning this, he occasionally would slide me a free brunch at the end of the bar, which I appreciated in those days, brunch being desirable and free being more desirable.
You know, brunch is a bygone thing. They don't have brunch anymore. Not that any of this has anything to do with the movie.
Robert,
nothing.
What did you think that night when he pulled his harmonica out and just started playing?
I said either this guy's got to go or play. There's no standing in the audience. And I thought if I said that he would go. I thought I would scare him off, but he instead got on stage. And that was the beginning.
Hard to scare me off in those days.
That was it. I mean, I said, hey, you know, I remember shielding my eyes and turning it. It was such an odd sound to have. Yeah. Is that a harmonica in the audience? Yeah, it couldn't be.
And it was in the right key, too.
Somebody actually playing along with the band.
Swinging.
And
the swinging band.
And yeah, I think that was it was a Saturday night, and I think we finally actually parted ways Wednesday morning. Because we had a lot of research to do. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
There was a song before it was a story.
Right.
That we used to just kind of scat around. We used to just be
Actually,
walking.
and
you had to have a good song to walk down the street in New York.
Exactly right. And one of the things that had occurred to me, and Bruce probably heard it an hour after the original idea. I mean, it was that fresh. I remember when it first occurred. I had been reading about Coleman Hawkins. Coleman Hawkins was known as the Hawk. And in the same period of reading, I also had been reading about Chicago. And the wind that blows off the lake in Chicago is also called the Hawk. And for some reason, all this was stewing in my fevered imagination. And I was walking west on 86th Street from Central Park, and one of those incredible winds came off the Hudson River. One of those winds that was so powerful that you could actually have fun leaning forward and seeing if it would hold you up. It was that kind of strong, might have been a Zephyr or a Mistral, I'm not sure which, but you would feel that incredible wind. And I had this idea that if it's the Hawk in Chicago and Coleman Hawk, somehow I thought maybe this wind is the Hudson Hawk. And I was walking along thinking, boom, ding, 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 ba-dum, dum, ding, ding, dum, ba-dum, dum, dum. I had this sort of bass line. I probably was walking to Bruce's or he was coming to my house or something, because I remember about an hour later, I sort of played it for him, and suddenly we started to work towards this kind of just a thing. I don't know if it was going to be a song or a bass line, whatever. But somewhere in that period, Bruce had the idea of there was a character, there was maybe a story, and he said at one point, either that afternoon or many weeks later or something, someday I'm going to make a movie called The Hudson Hawk. And I thought, yeah, sure. I mean, we're both, you're you're working in a bar, I'm trying to get a record deal, and you're already making this movie. P.S.
Here we are.
And that's where it all came from.
And back when you could, in those days, because you didn't have to live up to anything except your word, you could just say anything like that. I mean, you could put characters' names in there, and the most fun thing was coming up with like the fun character's name. And somewhere in there, I don't know where it came from, but it was actually one of my favorite character names in any movie was Tommy Five Tone, because I just didn't know. I had no idea what it meant. It disturbed me, and
it'll upset you.
It'll upset you.
Bruce was, of course, a number of things were happening. Moonlighting was happening. I'm not sure what the sequence of events. Moonlighting, then there was Die Hard. We made a record together, which was extremely successful. Right. Somewhere in there, was it TriStar offered you a
kind of a first look deal, kind of an overall deal.
Whenever that was, and so there were parallel things were happening. I think I produced a Little Mermaid at that point and was off to scoring Mambo Kings. Right. So it was a very, it was a thrilling time to have all this starting to gel.
But it kind of started as more of a serious action movie kind of. One of the first things we said was that it was like James Bond before he became James Bond. Like, what was James Bond when he was 20 years old? It was Sean Connery. Like, what was that guy doing? Like, if he was stealing stuff, he was a good thief. We got about that far. But I never liked it when it was serious. I kept saying, I don't know. It was like something about a heart, about stealing. There was somebody's heart.
Second Story Man was going to get into a hospital.
Yeah, steal a heart for someone. Like, how they do heart transplants in those days. But that never quite made it. And then
one version where there was a buffalo chase. Remember that?
Yeah.
Somebody was hiding in a buffalo or coming across the plain. He was in the Wild West.
No.
We didn't get moved to Italy till we decided we needed a good place to
That was the other
hang
part,
out.
too.
And then one day, where? I said, I don't know, we should go to Venice or Florence or Rome or something. We need to go on a trip. Next thing I know, there's a draft that includes Italy. And I thought, this will work. Yeah. And then boom, one day we were shooting in New York. That was and taking the Concorde.
Yeah.
To
crazy. Well, we shot in New York for about 4 weeks.
Right.
To shoot all the New York part of it, about the first heist, and
lived in an apartment on 50. There were a couple places. 57th Street. There was an incredible tower that overlooked the East River. Yeah. You had, right?
And we all had to get on the plane at like 6 a.m. or something to go over to Rome.
Our luggage didn't.
Luggage didn't make it. So we had to spend the night in Paris, sadly.
If you guys were a little older, we could tell you a little about that story.
Sadly. And then finally got down to Rome, and we were just exhausted. And the family whose house we were staying in, they were all lined up outside. And I didn't know what to make of all of it. And I said, how you doing? And they all wanted to take a photo and everything. And had I known that that's what they wanted, I would have done it. But nobody told me that's what it was. It was like an Italian thing. And so if any of you guys are watching, the folks from the Villa, sorry, I didn't get those pictures taken.
And during the shoot, now that I think of it, I actually flew back to New York and rounded up an all-star studio band, knowing Bruce's key and the tempo we wanted to use. I came back to New York for a few days in the middle of a shoot and recorded the backing tracks. On film, you often have a playback of the tracks, and the actors will either sing or lip sync, and I think we probably did both. They pre-recorded it, I believe, in this Forum Studios in Rome. We went downstairs at Forum Studios in Rome, and Bruce and Danny did vocals there that we could use on the set. Maybe they also sung live for a couple takes without the tracks, but I went and recorded with a fantastic band in New York City the tracks for those numbers. And then finally, at the end of the entire show, had a chance to record the theme song with Dr. John, who sang it. And there's some really great unheralded performances in some of these moments on the instrumental theme song of Hudson Hawk. And this is arcane information for music fans, but in the instrumental version, we had a group in Hollywood play it, and including Jeff Porcaro, who is the legendary drummer in Toto, since passed away, but it was one of his last recording sessions. And it was, for me, playing with guys like Jeff, and we also had Rick Moranis. These were guys, this is like Steely Dan playing our music, and a lot of fun with Dr. John, too, recording the theme song. Both of us got a chance to work with certain legendary heroes of ours.
Very cool. In
making the movie.
The seldom seen video that went along with the
completely forgot
track Hudson Hawk was directed by Antoine Fuqua, who I would go on to work with in a movie called Tears of the Sun just a couple years ago.
Right, he was a music video director at that point.
And he told me on the night of that shoot, he said, "I want to make a movie with you someday." And all things come. Looking at how it kind of became this cult film, and what people, come up and say to me on the street about it is they dig the fact that it was making fun of itself and that it was satire. And I don't think anybody got that when it came out. They didn't know what to make of it. Me and Danny Aiello singing in a movie was just unheard of, and people were mad about it or something. Like they were mad that we were trying to make them laugh, and that's all we were trying to do. We were Three Stooges jokes in there, and I think more than anything else, which is it's always not too good an idea to try to make yourselves laugh, but we were laughing while we were shooting it. The thing that I think should be said about the film is that it was special to us for a lot of different reasons, but it was vilified, I think, more than any film of its time, of its decade. It had some of the worst. They had been trying to tear down, come after me, I guess, since the first Die Hard, and the films were successful anyway. But they finally were. They had started to review this film long before anybody saw any of it. So it was just my time to catch a beating in the press. But the film is in profit now, and it's paid for itself and is making money. I get, which is a Pyrrhic victory, I suppose. I still laugh at it. I think it's funny. There's stuff in the movie that makes me laugh. I mean, it's just so silly, and that was the whole point. We were just trying to make people laugh, and it might have been a little too hip for the room at the time. And we had so many great performances in there that got neglected and got overlooked because they were just picking up, just bombing me and throwing rocks at me, and at the time I thought I kind of got it, kind of didn't get it, but it allowed me to not take my work so seriously, because up to that time there was no line between my work and my life, and it was right around that time that I had just gotten married, and a couple of years earlier, and I started, I had kids now, and I started to see that, well, this is my job and this is my family, and so it helped me in that sense.
I got to tell you, I was always impressed. Bruce has a unique ability to be resilient, and I think I was distressed and hurt, and I remember you felt, I don't think I can say what you actually said, but
I said, fuck it. I said, whatever,
right.
It doesn't matter.
And I thought, you know what, you're right. I was taking it personally, and there's a little bit of, Bruce just said, you know what, man, if they don't get it, on to the next.
A lot of people did get it. It's just, I don't really make movies for critics, and I think that was probably why I for a long time I was getting a lot of bad press, and just had things said about me, because we're both from New Jersey, and I'm from South Jersey, especially in the 609 area code. Were you 609?
609.
Oh, okay, so you're South Jersey. Yeah. So in South Jersey, you really, for my friends in South Jersey, you'll get this. I'm not going to apologize for it. I'm not going to apologize for making this film. I thought it was funny then. I think it's funny now. I think it holds up. People are still watching it. We're both still around. Nobody chased us out of town. They said, go, you can't, banish from the kingdom or something. We're still doing it. We talk about it a lot, about the New York days, and it really was a carefree time, and you could call it carefree or you could call it irresponsible, but it is a miraculous thing. I know a lot of cats who were studying acting at the time and were as good, if not, most are much better actors than I was. And it's just the luck of the draw. And I think a lot of times it's just meant, whatever's meant to be is meant to be. Whatever your, path is what it is. You got to take a shot at it. But I don't know. I don't know why. I've been really fortunate in my life. I think you feel the same. I would like to see Robert go back to playing in clubs, playing in cafes in New York.
That's still ahead of me.
We keep threatening to, move back to New York at some point.
I think there was also, for all of us, you have different periods in your life where you meet friends. Some people say their best friends are from high school or from grammar school or from college. There was something very special for me particularly, and I know for Bruce too, that period in New York, both in terms of the time in New York City, the time in our life, it was intensely fertile and creative, and there's no question it was absolutely unique to meet a like-minded citizen at that very moment in both our lives. But we shared a very, very unique and special time in our lives. That was, for me, as creative a time as you could ever wish for. My 20s in Manhattan, aspiring to be a songwriter. He was an aspiring actor. There was a lot that just bonded us in addition to all the other aspects. And there's no question, it's rare that we both ended up this many years later, 3,000 miles away, in our chosen profession, able to share our lives this way, share our families this way. That is rare, and certainly as valuable part of my life, as any aspect of it, that I actually, can share this much and have this much unspoken, because there's just that much history from New York. But I think that those moments in Manhattan were unique. We have memories that forever.
Friendship,
a book's worth.
Yeah, friendship it's so important. I really dig cultivating friendship, and I really like the ongoing cultivation of friendship, because it's so important. It becomes the bond, the stuff that's in between. And now look, we're old now. We're old, Jack. So
I'm 80.
Now we can. You hope you look as good when you're 80, ladies and gentlemen. But we get to sit around and cut up old touches and I think, man, was that actually 25 years ago? Was that actually that long ago? And some of those cats are still rolling around New York. And a bunch of our friends came out to California at the same time, and are all still friends. And those times in New York, I think, really bonded people. So if you're living in New York and you like to sublet your apartment, if you're living in New York and you're
on the west side, between like 72,
a block off the park, give us a call at 310-555-46.
49 and 10.
Because we'd like to move back to New York. But you just got to keep going. You got to keep looking at what you're doing and just keep.
We're just getting started.
That's it. Nickel in his pocket, time on both his hands, little Tommy 5-2, 49th and 10. See, that's what it was. The song was really about where I was living. That's right. It's 49th and 10. Uptown, a hustle here, a shuffle there, heads uptown. You can't feel it, you can't see it.
It's the Hudson Hawk again. Let it rain, let it snow, let the north wind blow. It's the Hudson Hawk,
your friend. Little time.
What's the second verse? I don't even remember.
6 a.m. come Sunday.
That's it.
Tommy heads uptown. time and frightened, nowhere to be found. Scotty's got be da be da 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 da. Survivors of take it, Bing.
Everybody knows when the cold wind blows, it's the Hudson Hawk again. Let it rain, let it snow, let the north wind blow. It's the Hudson Hawk, my friend. Oh, little Tommy, you better watch out what you do. Hudson Hawks with you, baby.
Three fingers.
Hesitate. When bad luck comes around, and down. Hudson Hawk again. Let it rain, let it snow, let the north wind blow. It's the Hudson Hawk, my friend. Ooh, little, you better watch out what you do. The Hudson Hawks with you. Hudson Hawks with you.
Thanks, you guys. Rain in the Southland, millions panic. Still swinging. Still swinging. Love that.
That's it.
Every time I see Robert Kraft, I say, just play a little bit of it.
Little Hudson Hawk. How about it? How about the karma of the fact that one day walking west on 86th Street, the wind blows, and here we are 20-odd years later, 25 years later in Cherokee Studios, talking all about it.